I'm not completely sure why I would do another one. Why I'm doing this, sort of do. Um, the more I talk, the more I forget the original reason. I was riding on my bike back home from the discount supermarket where I purchased 8 protein bars that usually retail for £2 each. I got 4 for £2. For £1, which makes them 25p each, reduced from £2. That is like 175 pennies worth of savings. Don't know how much is that in percent. What is that in percent? That is 87.5% cheaper. I can't work it out. But anyway, I'm just in the shop, and perhaps I had a moment of I'm still racking my brains about what actual sort of saving is that, and it should be rudimentary maths. I was doing maths in school, and then I watched this autistic genius Daniel Tammet working out like pi to 100 digits in his head, and like, you know what I mean? And people, and then in the YouTube comments, someone was just commenting on how they go to the grocery store with $4 and buy 3 items and have difficulty trying to keep in mind whether they've gone over over their budget or not. So it just puts things into perspective. I mean, let me just try and work it out. So it cost me 25p. 25p is, so it's 1, 2, 4. So that would be 400%. Yeah, 25p to a pound. So 25p would be a 400% saving, I guess. So 25p to £2, that would be 800%. Okay, all right. I think I've done it. So, yeah, and then just on the way back it's very autumnal now. There's a nice scent in the air, nice breeze. There's a nice feeling of like, I don't know. It's strange, isn't it? It's a nice feeling, but ultimately, how you feel is just there's nothing definite there's no causal link between the sort of environment and how you feel. Do you know what I mean? It affects it. It can trigger it, but what actually gets triggered is dependent upon what you've been doing. What activities you've been doing for yourself. To what extent you've been exerting your will upon your environment, and then the environment does the same to you. And then in that way you have this, control, affects your emotions and so on. You have this nice sort of symbiotic relationship. But I guess the point is there is a certain responsibility and obligation on me to act upon the environment. Otherwise, it will just be a one-way sort of conversation. Not a conversation, but a one-way narrative where I just get withered away by the elements, just get ground down into dust eventually. So there is an obligation. If I wish for things to carry on, then I must exert my sort of will. Then I had this sort of not an inkling, sort of it was, the weather was nice. The light was nice. The autumnal scents were in the air. Although, like in Armley, there aren't. You wouldn't exactly say that on the on the town street. But you would say that the place is real. People are not on stage there. There's a feeling that it's just real. You believe it. You believe what's happening there. It's quite it's quite an enjoyable place. But I was gonna say, but let me just hurry up and get this out. Basically, happiness I felt today, or the underlying happiness, happiness I felt like, oh, someone tells me that you've won £10 on the lottery ticket, great. Oh, you feel happy? Yeah. Do you feel content? No, not particularly. No. Contentedness I thought of was as like the more more profound, sustained happiness, maybe underlying happiness which is there even when you don't feel like you're happy, which I think is just which I'd rather prefer. You know what I mean? When all the happiness dies away, and then you get returned to a base level, a resting state of whatever that is. It'd be nice if that resting state was contentedness, and maybe in like an extreme examples. I don't know. I've never meditated to any length for any decent period of time to receive any positive changes from it. But I imagine people like monks, Buddhist monks, even when everything's stopped and there's no activity going on, they're not performing rituals or chants or exercises, then their resting state, I would imagine, would be quite pleasant. You know what I mean? There's, a lack of noise in the head, lack of thoughts conflicting in the head, lack of wishes or urges or fears or, you know what I mean? Just that type of thing, just rush around, just peaceful, calm, able to hear what's going on outside of oneself. I guess that's what, peace, silence, I guess in a sense, is just the ability to hear oneself. Sorry, the ability to not hear oneself, isn't it? Is to hear that which isn't you. Does that even make sense? It just sounds poncy, actually. So, yeah, and in my instance, I concluded today that my contentedness rested upon not, and sort of like there's a biblical nod here to the Garden of Eden, I guess, not eating the apple, not being tempted by that thing which I know will bring me immediate pleasure. Although these days, the more you have that apple, the shorter the amount of time, the shorter the period of pleasure that it gives each time that you eat from it, which is quite telling. There's a message in there. It's clearly saying that this is not the way forward. This isn't the way out of this situation. By by eating it. So my contentedness, I concluded, was in my ability. So the opposite of that. So literally, my contentedness and my happiness was the reverse of that. Rather than diminishing returns every time I took a bite of the apple, the opposite was true, and that every time I resisted the apple, my level of contentedness would increase. That base level of underlying happiness would increase each time I resisted but exerted my will upon this object or thing, situation or event which tempted me to do it. But I ultimately knew it would only provide a very limited amount of pleasure and no underlying sort of contentedness, and held no worth. So that was it. That's what was going through my mind on the way back from the shop after I bought those. I made a whopping saving on those protein bars, 800%. So I'm just going to make a meme out of that and try and encourage other people to get them while they can.